Pursuant to the orders of the recent Supreme Court judgment on the Rivers State political imbroglio, the Rivers State House of Assembly on Monday at its 130th legislative sitting of the second session resolved to give Governor Siminalayi FUBARA 48 hours to present the 2025 Appropriation Bill to the House in line with the 1999 Constitution as amended. The House also resolved to call the attention of the governor to the fact that following the nullification of the purported local government elections held on the 5th of October 2024, there is the need to amend the state local government law and the State Independent Electoral Commission law to bring them in conformity with the Electoral Act so as to create a flawless process for the commencement of plans for fresh local government elections in the state. The House further resolved to notify Governor FUBARA that pursuant to the provisions of the State Local Government Amendment Law, the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended, as well as the judgment of the Supreme Court, heads of local government administration or any other persons are barred and prohibited from the administration of the local government councils except democratically elected officials. Earlier, the chairman of the House Committee on Judiciary, Right Honorable Dumie Maul, while presenting his committee's report on the strength of the legal advice from their counsel on the Supreme Court judgment, had urged the House to quickly work in line with the decisions of the Apex Court. He also implored the House to proceed on recess, having worked hard without a break for a long time. Commenting on the report of the House Committee on Judiciary, the Speaker, Right Honorable Martin Chike Amehule, commended members for their broad-minded deliberation and stated emphatically that the essence of the House resolutions is to provide a quick fix to the current financial quagmire resulting from the absence of an appropriation law for the state, as the House would soon embark on a 12-week recess. Speaking empathetically, Right Honorable Amehule said, "We do not want Rivers people to suffer, so we urge Governor FUBARA to act fast and do the needful in the best interest of the good people of Rivers State." Signed, Martins Nwachukwu, Special Assistant on Media to the Speaker, Rivers State House of Assembly, on Monday, 3rd March 2025. Chizinyo Masila, what do you make of the statement, this release by the Speaker of the Rivers State House of Assembly?
Yes, of course. I haven't had time to actually congratulate them on their victory. You know, people have always said this faction, that, and some of us have stood our ground to say we don't have a faction. Martin Amehule is the Speaker. Of course, the Supreme Court have vindicated us on that. But again, coming to their resolution as of yesterday, I think that they are just adding human face to this whole thing. You know, giving him 48 hours means technically 2 days. And of course, do you have an excuse? This is a budget you intended to have presented to one forum, you know, and so that means that the budget is ready. And so for me, I would have just given him 2-3 hours to present it because it's already there. And so, I think they are also thinking along so that our civil servants and Rivers people do not suffer, and they're elected by the people. I think they are working in tandem with our mandate. But I think that what I should have also asked them to is to ask the governor also within the 48 hours to present the accounts of 2024 appropriation money that he took. I think that they should call for that. They can't go for the sex until they have called for that. And I'm calling them to do that.
Okay. Well, you're saying what the court actually ordered the governor to do was to present the 2024 budget, not the expenditure of the 2024 budget. Are you talking about probing the expenditure of 2024 budgets, or are you talking of, because it's one thing to present an appropriation bill and another thing to present an expenditure. They are not the same thing.
I do not want to fault the Supreme Court, but the first question will be, are you presenting something that's being used? A budget is an estimate of what you're going to do in a year, of the income and the expenditure and expected. So there are some times that the budget, the revenue may have overshot the budget, and sometimes it comes low. So it's just an estimate, and you have gone through that. So it's for them to call for, or well, of course they need to have the budget, because it's not a budget, it's not an appropriation. So are they going to be appropriating that which is gone, and then what are they going to be doing? Or is he saying that he didn't pay salaries, he didn't use the money, there was nothing he did with 2024 budget, and so that we will now begin to, are they just going to give him appendages of what has happened, the illegality that he has taken? They should call for it. Of course, if they are calling for 2024 budget, they should call it along with some accounting fee.
Okay, what you're saying is they should call for a probe of the expenditures of 2024. Not to present
budget. Which budget are you presenting?
Because that has been expended.
Yes.
So what you're saying, or in essence, the point you're making is that alongside the presentation of the 2025 budget,
yes,
the Rivers State House of Assembly should call for a probe of the 2024 budget and expenditures. It can't be called the budget because it was not passed.
It was not passed.
Okay. The 2024 expenditures of Rivers State.
Of Rivers State.
Okay.
And you know why that is important? You see, government is a continuum. And the budget of 2025 must take certain ingredients from the budget of the 2024. And so the expenses, there are monies that would have overshot. There are monies that there are items in that supposed quote-unquote budget that was not budget that is in long term. So you can't start 2025 and begin to appropriate 2025 without having the other one. For instance, there are I see the ring roads, that was awarded by his predecessor upon leaving, that he has continued, and so that thing will be accommodated in the budget. And so that budget is a long-term budget, even though it's cut between yearly. So if you are going to start midterm from this, how do you know what has transpired here to be able to do here? Supposing they lump the whole of what has transpired here into this place, what would you do? So they need to tell us what they have used for them to continue with this. It's not a new government. Even if FUBARA is just coming in today, they will need to know the other budget, because that's the budget. So they know that this budget has been spending. If not, let me tell you one analysis I made on a budget. I don't want to call it state. I don't want to even call analysis I made on a budget. I saw that the items that were budgeted and expended for was repeated over time 4 times. This a budget, let me use this word.
You mean the 2025 budget?
The 2024 budget.
The 2024 budget.
I'm saying that previous judgment. I'm not saying about this government. I'm talking about a budget I saw. When I was doing analysis of budget.
Okay.
I saw this budget and I found out that there was a project, more than 3-4 projects that I knew that was captured in a budget, in a previous year budget, and expended for, the project completed. But that same item repeated itself in the previous budget and the third budget. So you see that if you are not careful enough, that's why it is good that the assembly stamps its independence, so that they will be able to look at those things critically and see whether we're just spending money or people are just trying to repeat a thing and using it to pay. And especially when there weren't any budget. In 2024, when they didn't have any appropriation bill, and a man is left, the wisdom, there is no way. So, somebody says, there is no way a foreman can be better than foreman. It's not possible. And so the reason for bringing the assembly is to also dot the I's and cross the T's in your budget. And you bring all the other things. So if you have done it alone, chances are that you would have done in the frailty of man what a man can do, the mistakes a man can do alone.
All right.
So we need to correct it.
All right, very well. Now, this brings another question to mind when you were talking about looking into or calling a probe into the 2024 budget. Now, the Supreme Court, in the Supreme Court judgments, the release or non-release of Rivers State allocation is tied to the 2024 budget, not the 2025 budget. It is tied.
The release, come again.
The release or non-release of Rivers State allocation.
Yes,
the Supreme Court in its judgment ordered barred the CBN,
yes, of course,
from releasing funds, allocations to Rivers State, pending when the budget is presented and passed by Martin Samehule, led House of Assembly. Now, the budgets in question it's not the 2025 budget.
No, it can be now. Because
it is the 2024 budget.
Sure.
Now, that's a quagmire in the sense that 2024 budget, it cannot be presented, right? And you're calling for a probe. Now, when Martin Samihule was speaking with regards to the presentation of the 2025 budget within 48 hours, he stated, and let me say what this press release said. He said, Right Honorable Martin Chike Amehule stated emphatically that the essence of the House resolutions is to provide a quick fix to the current financial quagmire resulting from the absence of an appropriation law for the state, as the House will soon embark on a 12-week recess. It's also said, Right Honorable Amehule said, we do not want Rivers people to suffer, so we urge Governor FUBARA to act fast and do the needful in the best interest of the good people of Rivers State. Now, probably they are looking at passing the state as it is right now does not even have a budget, because the 2025 budget has not been presented. Now, probably Amehule is, the Right Honorable Chike Amehule is looking at payment of salaries,
sure,
day-to-day running of the state affairs and how it's going to affect economy and the people of Rivers State, particularly civil servants. Now, in line with this thought, the question I'm asking is, if they pass the 2025 budget, Supreme Court judgment says until 2024 budget is passed.
Yeah.
How are they going to reconcile this?
You see why? That's your question. That's why we need to.
Because Chief Martins Amehule, the Rivers State House of Assembly, is calling for presentation of 2025 budget. But Supreme Court is saying until 2024 budget is passed, Rivers State will not have an allocation. Does 2025 budget, presentation of this 2025 budget, is it going to negate or to a large extent? I'm trying to see how they intend to marry this.
Now, I'm not speaking for them, but let me speak to them, to the assembly members. Now, the wisdom within which the Supreme Court gave that judgment was because the Supreme Court knows that, like I've said, that the subsequent budget is an offshoot of the past budget. And so, if you do not pass that budget, why do you have to continue to spend? And again, don't forget that that's something we call the financial year. In some states, the financial year might end up by May. Some, like in the federal government now, the financial year for each financial year is between June to June, meaning that the 2024 budget is still what they are using to pay the salary of January, February, March, if it is the case in Rivers State. And again, it's asking them to do that. And I can tell you, when a budget is presented to the assembly in the first instance, there's a certain percentage that the executive can continue to use, while the budget is in process. But that's why I said to them, you must call for that other budget to be able to pay these ones, because they can't release this. Even if you are doing the 2025 budget, it's going to start by June 1st. So what about January, February, March, and April, May, June? The Rivers State salary. Who will pay that salary? Because as soon as it's passed and they want to pay that salary, some of us will write a petition again against them to say, where is the budget that you are getting allocation from? So most look at this thing holistically. This is no longer emotions. This is no longer sentiment. We need to speak truth to power. We must all come together to see, even if they have to take 3 weeks. In fact, even their recess, they can excuse themselves from the recess and go for a longer recess after this whole thing. But they should probe that. In fact, they can bring in external auditors nominated by the governors and them to jointly probe what he has done on that. In the first instance, the probe or otherwise does not stop the fact that the governor has erred by spending out of money that was not appropriated for. That in itself, even if all the expenses were correct. Now that's the meaning of it. Now even if the expenses is made, that he can match accounting to those prudence to those expenditures, it is still not enough for him not to answer the fact that he started spending on money not appropriated for. Now let me tell you, even if a money is being appropriated for, that's another second thing. Even if monies are being appropriated for, there is a limit to which a governor can give assent to releasing of allocation. There's a limit. There's a money that he cannot sign. That money must be signed by the Executive Council. Now, also note that in 2024, that FUBARA does not have an Executive Council seated. So which means that all the money we are spending illegally, overshooting his financial limit, spending out of budget, non-appropriation of money. So these two alone, even if I'm not in the house, I already know that he has faulted, and that's enough for him to resign. It's enough. So I think that the assembly should not take emotions. They should not be, what would I say, manipulated by the things by sentiment. You have to take it right. If all of us have to be hungry for the next 2 weeks or 2 months for this thing to be right, let us make it right once and for all. The danger in this is, if you don't do this, like I've said about the continuous process of governance and budgeting and appropriation laws. Now, if you don't do this, my fear is, who is going to be governor tomorrow? So that the person does not take a cue from this, and people will think that, oh, no, this person has done it now, nothing happened, it became academic. It can't be academic. The money that you spend, our money, cannot be academic. How was the government run? Do you know that if you push this whole thing, if you push it to the later, you'll be shocked that the certification of all the schools in Rivers State that depended on appropriation were illegal because they didn't have fund. The state weren't running. It means that the certificate in this thing that the Commissioner of Education will sign, or if the appointees of the commissioner, is illegal. You see this thing. Let's extend this thing. Let's strengthen the shadow, and you begin to understand what FUBARA did to Rivers people. We will cry. We will begin to analyze all of this. Do you know that what that means? That Rivers State government did not function for 1 year. That's what it means. Because any commissioner that didn't go
was not cleared.
That was not cleared.
Whatever
was not in the first place commissioner.
Activity they held during that period
is null and void. Didn't exist. But these commissioners were signing that money. This commissioner. So how was he carrying his budget? The governor does not execute ministerial budget. He is a supervisor. So how is he executing in Ministry of Education? What is he doing how is he executing agriculture, health, and all of that? What happened? Those are not illegal. So if we don't come back to see how we can re-amend these things, look at remove the man who has done these things and those who have done these things. Why did they not call for a submission of the commissioners list? And don't forget, there's also a time limit within which an executive can operate with a certain number of commissioners. That means also that's a fault. If those people were not screened, that means he didn't have an executive. So how can he say he's been meeting with executives? So he's been running the sole administration in Rivers State, and then we'll close our eyes because we do not want our people to suffer. We have suffered for 1 year now, so why can't we suffer for the next 2-3 years? Matt Zamegule, stop this. I am telling you, I am coming for you. You must sit down and do the right thing. No matter, except you are telling me that all this period that you were arguing this thing, you were arguing for personal gain. If not, why would you not do the right thing and then finish the entire thing?
Now, when you say why would you not do the right thing, it's a step at a time. Don't you agree? It's a step at a time. The step
shouldn't start by
your anger is saying that they are jumping 2024 to enter 2025.
Yes.
So by the reason of calling for presentation of 2025 appropriation bill, it means that they are sweeping 2024 under the carpet. They have not said that, by the way.
No. I am saying that in the order of hierarchy, we have 1, 2, 3. Imagine somebody.
If I understand what you're saying, 2025 budget to a large extent is tied to the carryover from 2024. So there are certain carryovers from 2024.
So how would you look at it? How do you know that?
It has to be looked into. That's what you're saying?
Yes.
All right, very well. Now, you have also said that 2024 budget cannot be presented because it has been expended. So wouldn't it be folly for the Rivers State House of Assembly to call on the governor to present that which cannot be presented?
No. See, what can happen, like I've said, whether it was to be presented or not, there are expenditures that you've made.
Now, there are two different things. Calling for presentation of 2025 budget it's different from calling for a probe into the expenditure of River State.
Money.
I won't call it a budget, but
Of
River State money in 2024.
Sure.
They are two different things.
That's what I'm asking for.
Now, the River State House of Assembly is saying for the purpose of, the financial implications on Rivers people, that the governor should act fast and present the 2025 budget, not the 2024, because like you said, it cannot be presented. So probably after the presentation or during the plenary where the governor will present the 2025 budget, they will now ask questions on the 2024 budget. You never can tell what, this pregnancy may birth. You never can tell that.
I am not in their mind. But I have a right to interrogate the system.
And secondly, there is a Supreme Court judgment, like I've said earlier. Probably you didn't understand the question I asked. The Supreme Court judgment said that River State allocation cannot be released
based on
until 2024 budget is passed.
Sure.
It did not say that it will not be released until 2025 budget is passed, because 2025 budget was not even a prayer in the matter, right? So the courts did not even, as far as the court is concerned, that is a non-issue. It was not presented before them. But there was a ruling, and that ruling is tied to 2024 budget and not 2025 budget.
Yes.
So passing this appropriation bill into law does not guarantee that the allocation will be released to River State, as long as probably there are persons that will question and fight that action, because that is not the Supreme Court judgment. The Supreme Court judgment did not say 2025 but 2024. So don't you think that to a large extent, this agitation that you're now making, to a large extent, does it translate to River State receiving allocations?
Yes.
Budget?
Now let me tell you, not to 2025. Like I've said, I said they are jumping the gun. He said one thing at a time, and I said there's number one, which is more important. And I have told you that financial year does not stop at December, maybe May, meaning that the River State people, even if they pass this budget, will not still receive salary until June. That the 2025 budget will take effect.
You know that Nigeria is now running a full circle budget.
I agree with you.
All right.
But that a budget was as a result of a budget.
Did Okojumbo extend 2024 budget?
Who is Okojumbo?
That's the question. Because you're saying that the budget, this 2025 budget, will take effect in May or June. That's what you're saying?
Yes.
It will take effect in June. How can a full circle budget take effect 6 months into its lifespan?
No, see.
Yes.
The reason is simple. The 2024 budget, you see, what actually happened was that you saw that because we come in May to 2029, May 29 of all of this election year. Now, you will always see that the governor will submit a budget, that will take, of course, they can call it supplementary budget to accommodate there are certain new things. But why is doing that? The budget of the subsequent government would have taken care of what he's going to spend till like June.
That budget and supplementary budget, they usually run concurrently.
That's all. But I'm not saying that. CBN, the Supreme Court ruled that without the appropriation bill, the appropriation
2024
bill of 2024, that they shouldn't release the allocation. The question we will ask, which allocation are they releasing? Are they releasing allocation of 2024?
2025, of
2025.
course.
Now, for them to have made this thing, it means that, are you saying that their judgment is academic? No. Why they have said so is that because they know that, for all I know now, even though we run a full cycle budget, I know in the federal government, Google it, you understand that the federal government budget extends up to May. And
I know that old budget and new budget can run concurrently.
That's all.
I understand that.
For right now, what the monies they are using to spend in government, especially the running cost of government, is still the old budget, because this other new budget is not been appropriated for. And so they have that window they give for the old budget. And so that means that window, that this March, the salaries of River State government, River State people will not be paid. In April, the salaries will not be paid until your budget. And of course, The budget is not a small deal. They are asking him to submit a budget for 2025, in 48 hours. That means that by tomorrow it has elapsed. And so by Friday they are going on a recess. Even though they have some technical committees, those committees cannot approve the budget. That means that in the next 12 months, they know that this other budget runs to that extent. So the first thing they should do is, why calling for this?
When you have not looked at the one that is running concurrently.
Concurrently.
With 2025
with 2025 budget.
All right.
That's what I'm saying. Even if you bring it, and you say, okay, for instance, assuming that, okay, part of the items in those budget that is for January, February, March, April, okay, let's accept it. Let's begin to probe the order. Then we know that you are doing something for us. Deal with that budget. Call for that budget first. Let us understand that budget. Let us understand the probe for it. Call for it. Even if you have to call for appropriation and say, okay, by this, how do you spend this money that you are appropriated for? What is it? How do you get money? And begin that. Then it is just because you are not even approving for his illegality. You are only looking at what he has done and say, okay, come and tell us what you have done. So they should first call for it and then call alongside the 2025 budget. That's what I'm saying.
All right. Now, to a large extent, that gives rise to another step that, but then, Chizzy, calling for that appropriation bill, it's simply calling for a probe.
That's all.
So
and
you're saying Martin Samuel should probe 2024 budget before calling for the presentation of.
Why calling for? They can
do it side by side.
Of course. See, in the assembly they have different committees that deals with different things.
All right. So now moving forward, the River State House of Assembly, when they were speaking, also bad. It's very important we look into this. Also bad the head of local government administration from taking charge of local government councils. And they said that the Supreme Court judgment barred anyone except elected council chairman from heading local government. And you recall that Governor Similaye FUBARA had ordered the sacked local government chairman to hand over to heads of local government administration. And the River State House of Assembly is saying no to that. What do you have to say?
Do you know, if you read the River State law, especially as it has to do with local government, you will understand that 80% of the powers lies within the River State House of Assembly.
With regards to local government administration.
Local government administration. And so what the House of Assembly did was not to bar. They only lifted up the Supreme Court judgment plus their law. And they even said they were going to amend the laws to be able to accommodate all of that. And so I think that what is left for them is that certain local government, elected local government were extended to 6 months. And the Constitution has given them right to do that extend again, and that will be the last. And so that window has not been exhausted. They should also extend it and tell them, because they can also not, like for instance, the other local government chairmen that were extended. I can tell you that even if they go back to office now, Chief Yomasla will fight them. The reason because their tenure elapsed December, and the assembly has not made any further pronouncement on that extension. And so what they would have done is, look, we're extending this thing so that their own severance allowances will be paid for that 6 months. Why probing these other people to bring back the money they stole? So all of this is going to. So we must look at this thing holistically. So they have also not made a pronouncement such that there is. So
now, while saying no,
yes,
to local heads of local government administration,
yes,
taking over local government, they have left local government councils in a vacuum.
Yes, and
unattended to.
And unattended to. So, and we can't afford to do that because nature abhors vacuum. We can't do that. So there must be maybe a doctrine of necessity that will be jointly reached by them and ascended to by the governor, that will get us to, because they can't just let. Yes, what the pronouncement they made was right, because the heads of local governments and any other persons, outside elected persons, will become illegal. And then of course you have also not have a legal people to go stay. And so there must be, it will not come to a doctrine of necessity to say, look, okay, let's do this or let's not do this on this platform. So they must reach, and all of us will accept that this is a doctrine of necessity that can be quashed just after that. Because what you need to do is call on the assembly. You know, they are representing us. All of us now will not say, no, okay, let us have this kind of arrangement until this, and then call for this. Because of course, they can't call for election now. The first thing they should call is a dissolution of that thing that looked like RISEC, you know, before, that put all of us into this.
We are getting there. They talked about RISEC as well. They talked about RISEC when they were speaking. They said that the House also resolved to call the attention of the governor to the fact that following the nullification of the purported local government elections held on the 5th of October 2024, there is the need to amend the state's local government law and the state independent electoral commission law to bring them in conformity with the Electoral Act,
Yes.
so as to create a flawless process for the commencement of plans for fresh local government elections in the state. So they have already said that they are going to amend the local government law and the RISEC law to bring them in conformity with the Electoral Act.
I don't agree with their wordings.
Okay.
Their wordings at this point, you see, we are almost in an emergency situation. In fact, they can't even afford to go for the sex. The reason is simple. What the governor acted rightly, they also pronounced rightly. I will tell you the reason.
Okay.
In the Supreme Court has stopped the quote unquote elected governor's own elected chairman.
Mm-hmm.
That's in one part. The extended chairman, their tenure ended by December last year.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there is now a vacuum. Now, even if you were going to hand over on 25th, I'm just using that, you know, a governor or a president, on 25th of May, in this thing, a permanent secretary can be given paper to hand over to the elected person. So I think that in that wisdom, if that's what the governor means, is to just say, okay, let me have an arrangement that even if it's on Monday, Tuesday, that these other persons can come and take. But who are those other persons? Who are those other persons? There hasn't been any pronouncement on the extension, and there hasn't been any elected persons. And now you're not proceeding on recess. And
Leaving the local government unattended.
And
meanwhile, you have restrained by your statements the heads of local government from taking over. So local government is left unattended
to. So and you can't do that. And when you call local government, don't forget, you are talking about the primary health centers. You're talking about the primary schools. So you're not looking at just local government workers, and then you're talking about the civil servants. You're also talking about the activities, those who are affected by the activities of the local government. And so you just say they should shut it down. Who is taking over? You have not really made any pronouncement, so you can't afford to go. That is why I said
it's just akin to let's say having a state without a governor.
A governor.
You know,
nobody,
and there is nobody.
Nobody.
You just leave it without a governor,
and then you leave.
It's unattended to.
So
and it's a 12-week recess.
Thank you. Now, what I have said is, if they have stayed for so long, they refuse to go for recess for so long, which is okay by us. We are saying that at this point that we are, you can't afford to go for recess. They can't afford to go for it because there are issues they need to deal with right away. Why are you going for recess? To do what? So are you not saying that all you were there was to win your case and then go? That becomes selfish.
That appears to be the interpretation of the statements, because when they said they have battled for so long and they need to go on a recess.
So the question is, the governor also had battled for so long. The governor should go on recess.
He's not yet going.
Deputy governor go on recess. Everybody go on recess. So Rivers State will now have an anarchy in Rivers State. Nobody is collecting what's the local government on tax called? You know, whatever it's called. You know, the money for the revenues of the local government. The IGR for the local government. Nobody is spending. Things are just going there. Hoodlums will not take over the local government affairs. What are you saying? CDCs are crashing everywhere, and then you say you're going on recess of people who elected you, say be there. So you have to be there to confront this issues frontally. We are in a complex situation. We have we must have bring in doctrine of necessity to begin to deal with issues right away. You can't say stop, and then this one says, and then there'll be anarchy again. They won't bring in. This will not be. Everybody will just be there. In fact, I can tell you that. Let me even tell you about the local government administrators. I'm talking about the civil servants. They are culpable. I don't know why Martins is not looking at that way. They should take them to ministries. Because these people, I know what they did within this period. I know.
When you say they are culpable, the civil servants in local governments, yes? I
am talking about the heads of civil
servants. The head of local government administration.
The treasurer and all that. They were culpable. I knew what they did. I knew what they did in this.
When you say they are culpable, what do you mean?
Though they are happy to see the politicians not come together. They were very, very happy because, like these ones that were fighting over their tenure, they were sure that they were going to be the ones. They were not asserting their authority again. The local government, quote unquote, local government chairman were beggarly now. They were no longer asserting. So the civil servants like those kind of thing. They like when politicians are not in together. So they now you have not given them the head of state. You want them to be there. So they have to. In fact, both of these persons who were operational within this crisis should go back to ministry. Nobody's sacking them. Don't sack them. Take them back to ministry, and new people should be appointed. And again, you are telling us that you are going to do a local government law. I mean, about the RISEC and all of that. We had one before. That's what you should do. Declare a state. We are in a state of emergency, so they should go back and begin. Let them not tell us what we are going to do. Let us start off something right now. That's why we elected them. Going back to which you said, to which constituency are they coming to this?
3 months recess. 12 weeks is 3 months, yes?
Of course.
3 months. That's if they go. Well, that's a lot, considering the state Rivers State is in. So, in your opinion, before we move on to the next story, going on a recess or taking a recess right now by Rivers State House of Assembly, meanwhile leaving the local government unattended to, and barring the heads of local government administration from taking over the mantle from this sacked local government, you're saying it's a reckless move. It's a reckless move and give room to anarchy. That's what you're saying.
Sure.
And again, if I understand your other point, you were saying that they are putting the horse before the cart and calling for the presentation of the 2025 budget when the 2024 budget that is running concurrently has not been looked into. And that 2024 budget must be probed, considering that Rivers State allocation, the release of that fund is tied to 2024 budget and not 2025 budget. So